Let's do it. Let's move it back a little bit so you can see. Alright, this is a comic book haul. Alright, this is a comic book haul that I have put off for so long that it has just gotten bigger and bigger. And now I am stuck with this giant pile to get through that I had to split into two piles. Some of these, most the Silver and Bronze Age stuff, was from World of Superheroes. www.worldofsuperheroes.com. Well, there's so many here, I can't really say where over half of them came from. Gonna try and get through them quickly, so I probably won't have time to explain what Brat Summer is. We begin with some sweet, sweet Silver Age, Avengers 21, the first appearance of Atlas Man, future important Thunderball's character. I'd be lost without the second part of that story, issue 22. These two issues become the hardest comics in my collection, and that feels right. Avengers 40... Since this is such a big stack of comics, I have to get through it quick or you will all get bored. Meaning I can't really talk about an issue like this, which isn't very notable, besides its publication date and the fact that I really like this issue. Avengers 45, iconic cover with a maze or... This is the issue where Hercules Man, and I would argue Scarlett Johansson, become official full-time Avengers. 70, I have the issue before this. Between the two, I now have the first appearances of Batman from the Defenders and Speed McGee from the Thunderbells. Come to think of it now, I don't have, forget it, I was going to say I have all the first appearances of the new Thunderbells, but I didn't. 74, Black Panther story. I had to get this because a couple of years back a subscriber got me the first part of this story in issue 73. Here is one I said I was gonna get. This is Avengers 88, a little Hulk story with emphasis on little, and I have the next part which is in Hulk 140. This is the introduction of the Michaelverse and Jarella and whatnot. Now this is another Hulk issue, but I am still including it under the Avengers section because the villain is Kronos. This is Hulk 135. Not even doing the issues in numerical order now. How the mighty have fallen. Great cover though. And that is it for Avengers. And the next section is a new, never before seen section in one of these all videos. Conan the Barber. This is Conan the Barber issue 89. What I've gotten is a handful of Conan the Barber comics that are relevant to and have concepts in them that are related to SeaWorld attacks. Consider it research for SeaWorld Attacks 2. I can't remember what relevance this has. I'm guessing it is the Serpent Men, because they are name dropped on the cover. Now we have a two-part story that begins in Conan the Barber 129. Now this story is actually by Jim Tomatoes. Part 2 in 130. Jill Kang is the artist, both for the cover and the interior. One thing I should say is that the majority of the SeaWorld Attacks stuff, that lore, it came from the black and white Conan the Barber magazines. And I won't ever get them. They're a nightmare to store. But there are a couple of colour floppies that did build on or use some of the mythology from those. King Conan O'Barber. Conan the Barber has become king. This is issue 3. These are double length, and if I'm not mistaken, the relevance here is the Serpent art, issue 4. This is issue 4. And our final entry into my short venture into Conan the Barber comics is Mar-Vell Feature 6. And this one is very important, actually. This is the first appearance, in a Mar-Vell comic anyway, of Set the Serpent God. After Conan the Barber, we're on to D for Defenders. And this is Mar-Vell Spotlight 12. Second appearance of Satan's Son. From L, he came. Getting these hard Satan's Son comics is a very slow mission. D is also for Dome People. This is issue 53 by Van Morrison, and it has art by Ken from Barbie. I thought it was worth a look for that. I finally got my hands on Fantastic Force 54. This is a Stanley Lee Jack Quimby classic, which introduces Papa John. I used to have it, the cover, as a quilt though. It was like my bed sheet. That's why I wanted it. Here is Fantastic Force Annual 11, which has a crossover team-up with the Invader-As. The Flask now, issue 326. Nice cover. That's why I grabbed it. I think that is it for DC this go. Now, I have got 2 entire runs to get through. First is Hulk by Jason Byrne. It's not a very long run. It begins here at issue 314. We have 315. I already have 316, so here is 317. 318. I should also point out that, going forward, I am trying to get copies of comics with the direct market UPC. Usually it is Spider-Man's heirs, but there are variations. There's some with Captain America's heirs. There's some that I've mentioned before where artists draw a unique bit of art for it. Sometimes it's an advert as well. But yeah, that is something that I'm trying to do now. This is another one you get. When it is a sideways box, they have this picture of Spider-Man swinging. This is the final issue by Jason Byrne, which is issue 319. He stormed off the title, as he often does. Then we have Al Milburn's run, which begins with the very next issue, 320. And we have a very big battle with the Avengers and Hulk in 321 and 322, and it's really fun. And then it kind of concludes with 323. There, this is an example of the UPC box being used for, let's call it an advertisement. Issue 324 is historically significant as it is the introduction or reintroduction of Grey Hulk. 325 we have the Mar-Vell 25th anniversary banner, and the excuse for having the classic Hulk on the cover is we have a flashback in the issue. Really should be Grey Hulk on the cover. 326, Dickie Jones becomes Hulk for a while, and he fights Grey Hulk. 327, more Dickie Jones Hulk. Now, issue 328 is a fill-in issue written by David Peter. It will take over the title in a few months' time. 329, Dickie Jones Hulk again. And then Al Milburn's final issue, 330, which is more known as it is the first issue drawn by Todd McFarlane. Now, there is quite a lot of Hulk annuals I still need to get to fill out those runs. But here is one of them. Avengers Annual 13. This is written by Jason Byrne, with artwork by Steve Dittman, inked by Jason Byrne. It deals with Hulk subplots. Infinity is our next section. And here is Iron Man 54. An issue where Iron Man fights Seaman. And nothing else consequential occurs in this issue. There are no first appearances of any beautiful bald ladies. I got it really cheap too. Everything seemed really cheap, which is why I have wound up with so many comics. Daredevil 105. This one is a rubbish issue, but there is a random interlude in the middle, written and drawn by Jim Starman, that tells Moongarden's beautiful bald origin. I probably won't get the next 2 issues. She is in them, but I really only got this for those 4 or 5 pages that are actually very integral to the character and my Infinity box. On that front, I am finally finishing off the run on Captain Marvel's, the real one, Mar-Vell. We have issue 32 here, and issue 33. This one has a co-writer credit for Steve Engeltine, and you can tell because in the final part of a multi-issue story arc, Willow is suddenly important and part of the plot. Strange Adventures 180, the first appearance of Gonorrhea. World of Superheroes were selling this for 12 quid. I have been trying to get this issue for a while, and again, it's a good case in point for restraint. I could have gotten this months ago for 40 quid or upwards, but I waited, and then I stumbled on someone selling a decent copy for under a third of the price. Then we have Marvel 2 for 1 Annual 2. This is before they started putting art in the UPC boxes. My Bronze Age Infinity stuff is very almost complete. I only need 2 Marvel features, and I think maybe something else that I cannot remember. Iron Man 55, I need that obviously. That's what I forgot. Now the cover is loose on this next one, but I had to fast track this one. This is the Master Edition of the Andy books. This is the issue that features Thor. With these, I am having fun talking about my prospective sequel to SeaWorld Attacks, and I needed Thor. He is arguably the central character. I needed this so I would have a main character for the story. Nearly forgot this one. There are 2 comics that I nearly forgot to include in this video. See if you can spot the other one. This is a one-shot. This is Bruce Lee, Master of Kung Fu. It is like a callback to the black and white Curtis magazines. The reason I got this is that the third story is actually a story starring Midwife from that Silver Surfman issue. Spider-Man section now, and the Spider-Man sections have become very dominant as of late. This is Amazing Spider-Man 419, the beginning of the vague age of Spider-Man, which is fitting because we also have its end here. This is issue 437, and here is your all-new guide to the Marvel Universe, the recap pages. Issue 438. I like showing these because you can get a greater sense of these stories from them. You can pause and get a feel for what is happening. And then the final issue of the vague age of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 439. And I got this from World of Superheroes and didn't care for the condition. Everything else was very good condition and exactly what it said on the tin. But this, the only comic I got from them from this period, is too worn and crinkled for me. You probably can't see it that well on the camera. So I got myself another copy. See, this one's fine. Here are the recap pages. But I had to buy a lot of 4 issues. And I got stuck with this. Amazing Spider-Man 440. This is not part of the Vague Age of Spider-Man. Don't be fooled. It looks like it is, but it isn't. This is Jason Byrne shuffling stuff around for his big reboot. Still has the recap pages though. Maybe I might have looked out. Hopefully this is like an issue where it's not concerned with any of that. And this will just be like a regular issue with Spider-Man fighting Mortar Man. The one run I needed to fill out the most was Adjectiveless Spider-Man, which had been rechristened Peter Parker Spider-Man to the confusion of many. And I was going to rejoice because I thought I had finished my Vague Age of Spider-Man collection here. But these first few are a wash, I think. This is issue 81, and it has a giant price sticker on top of it. Fuck that. 82 suffers from 1 too. And based on the price, these stickers have been on there for a long time. At that size, and with that length of time, I am not confident these are removable without the cover being severely affected. 83. So these first 3 issues need to be rebought, probably. I'm not even showing you their recap pages out of sheer disappointment. 85 with no sticker and Shockster, who I called Paralyzer, and I wish I had remembered that before doing a video where I called him Shockster. Paralyzer was a deeper cut. Here are the recap pages. Look at that giant list of supporting characters. That is a lot of supporting characters. 86 with Shockster again. And there's something inside of this, I can feel it. We have Capcom Marvel Superheroes Scratch and Win Sweepstakes. Let's see, how am I going to remove this without damaging the comic? I think if I just tear across there, I can pull. Let's try that. Then I've got to do it with each one, I think, maybe. So what do I do with these? Not a winner. Not a winner. Let's assume this one was a winner, and that is why I couldn't scratch it off. Here are the recap pages for this issue though. 87. It might have Junior art, but the covers don't work much to make these look like good or interesting stories. Pages for recap and issue 90. This one is actually important to the Identity Christmas story. I'm surprised I missed this one. Or maybe I decided to skip it because at one point I thought I convinced myself I was only going to get the Jim Tomatoes run on Spectator Spider-Man. But now I have a whole box dedicated to the Vague Age of Spider-Man. I don't care about the story or the art, all I care about are the recaps. Issue 93. This issue is worth commenting on because writer Howie Mandel used this to retcon and resolve his Ghost Driver, and that series being cancelled mid-story. So our recap is mentioning a bunch of Ghost Driver shizzle. 94, which I was convinced I already has. Here is our recap spread, and here is 95. I would have completed all 4 main titles of Spider-Man during the Vague Age of Spider-Man, if not for those fucking stickers. This is our final Spider-Man fold-out recap for this video, but it is not our final fold-out recap for this video. This is a 2001 miniseries by Tom Falcon and Lee Months that does touch on some unresolved plot lines from the vague age of Spider-Man. Spider-Man, The Mysterium Manifestum, issue 1. So yeah, it is 3 issues long, and it co-stars Daredevil. We resolve one of the mystery identities from the vague age of Spider-Man, as well as another from the Jason Bourne reboot. It felt relevant. Then we keep the thwipping going with Spider-Woman. This is Amazing Spider-Woman issue 0, with a cover homage to Amazing Fantasy 15. This is a recap of everything that happened in the first 100 issues of Spider-Woman. If you thought I was joking when I said I would have to explain Brat Summer, I wasn't. This is Amazing Spider-Woman issue 4. I got it for a normal price, but it was hard to find it for a normal price because of this one page here where a girl is wearing a t-shirt that says Brat. People, or as I like to call them, scalper cunts, like to inflate the price of any comic they have with as much bullshit falsehoods and lies as they can think of, so that they can say this issue is worth money. They say this issue is what inspired Brat by Charlie XCX. No, not having it. It's a coincidence. It's not even the same font or composition. Amazing Spider-Girl issue 10 here though. And then Amazing Spider-Woman 19, which has the printing error where all the copies have issue 17 on the cover. On top of Vague Age of Spider-Man, I would also say my Spider-Woman collection is done and dusted now. I've realised we've still got an entire run to get through. First though, we have some issues of Thor, Tom Falcon, Ron French. I grabbed some of the ones that feature Seth. Consider it more SeaWorld Attacks 2 research. This is 386, and then I have the entire arc where Seth's attack on Fairyland is the main plot, starting with 396, 397, 398, 399, there's that sideways UPC box again, and then the big issue 400. I was sure I had 402 as well, but apparently I don't. Jumping over to 90s Thor, I have 2 issues that feature Seth, issue 17 and 18. I get the feel these might also be the reveal of who Blood Axe is. Then we've got what might as well be the vague age of Thor. Thor issues 503 through to 513. Tom Falcon writes, Mike Diddy Dardo Jerk Studios does the art mostly. Thor ain't in these. This was when he was dead and in Heroes Reborn. So we have a run focusing on the remaining Fairyland characters. Amanda the Enchanter takes on a prominent role, so I am happy about that. But again, our big baddie is Seth, so I felt I had to get these. At this point, I must be close to having all of Seth's appearances, actually. I'll go back and fill in those 4 issues that I don't have between 386 and 396. Already got 390. The one where Captain America lifts Thor's magic hammer. Obviously, I already have that one. 507. I've been forgetting to say what numbers. I have them all. They're all run. Ginger Thor is our Thor. He was set up a tiny bit just before the Thor title was canned and then revamped like this. Seth v. Tom Hiddleston. I don't like that Amanda the Enchanter isn't on many of these covers. She was on 503, the first one, and that was it. Seth v Tom Hiddleston, Requiem. And it's here where we have the debut of your new guide to the Marvel Universe. 512. I used this as a cutaway recently, haven't I? It is here that John Buscema, brother of Sal Buscema, takes over art for the last two. Inked by Al Milburn. Amanda the Enchanter is too far down on this list of characters. She should be right at the top because she is the best one. 513, our finale. Sir Anthony Hopkins versus Seth. And right there is our final recap pages for this video. Not sure where this fits, but there is also this -1 issue, flashback issue. That should be our final comic, but World of Superheroes provided us with the most cursed collection of free gift comics around. Avengers issue 6 by Michael Bryan Benson. Avengers issue 8 by Michael Bryan Benson. Avengers issue whatever by Martin Quaid during the Captain America is a Nazi crossover. Fantastic Force by Dan Slott with an Emma Stone variant cover that only depicts Thing from Fantastic Force. The possibly least offensive one, something I've never heard of by people I've never heard of, but it has an okay cover of Arse, God of War, and it's not torture if you cannot squeeze in some unwanted Christopher Clairvoyant Drek from the 2000s. That assortment of free giveaway issues makes me want to give up. What about you? What a wet fart to end on. You've got to admit though, this is the best all I have ever done. I've got a bit of everything here, except DC. DC had a very weak showing in this. We've had something from every decade since the 60s. Even if anything after the 90s was unwanted. What comics here did you like the look of the most? Which do you want to know more about? Which ones do you wish you could find? I'll give this my big fat 7 thumbs up.